Yoon Bom has been experiencing a disturbing dream for months, where she is confidently writing on a classroom board, teaching ethics, when another woman suddenly appears and slaps her without warning. As soon as she gets the slap, Yoon Bom wakes up with her hands shaking, confused why the dream comes back every time and terrified by it. In reality, Bom used to be an energetic teacher in Seoul, well known for her sharp storytelling skills and jokes which even gave her the nickname Story Slayer. She used to be so good at gatherings that people couldn't help but laugh around her. But now, she lives in the quiet town of Sinsu, teaches ethics, and dresses entirely in black. She keeps to herself, pretending to be an introvert and depressed to avoid attention, while her coworkers gossip about how weird she is for leaving the city to come to this small town. The school has a star student named Han Gyeol who is good at everything and a role model for everyone. One day, the atmosphere in the staff room changed drastically when the teachers noticed a tall, well-built man with a dragon tattoo on his hand approaching the office. This was Seon Jae Gyu, the uncle of the school's role model student, Han Gyeol. As soon as he arrived, the teachers panicked, and the teacher who was at fault for denying an award to his nephew actually hid under a table out of fear. Jae Gyu was there to confront the school about why his nephew was denied a school award despite being one of the best students, simply because he has no parents. Jae Gyu wasted no time telling the teachers that he raised the young man on his own after his parents passed away and has proven to be the best guardian possible. In the middle of this tense situation, Jae Gyu happened to notice Han Gyeol's class teacher, Yoon Bom, and was momentarily mesmerized by her beauty. However, he quickly came to his senses, warned the teachers never to exclude his nephew again, and left. After he was gone, Yoon Bom was so curious that she broke her quiet character and started asking questions about him. The teachers were shocked by her sudden interest, but quickly started whispering rumors, creating an image of Jae Gyu as a violent criminal who is always surrounded by a gang, and once even lifted a car with just his bare hands. On her way home from school that evening, Yoon Bom was already in a bad mood because of some upsetting messages from her father. When she reached her house and tried to open the door, her key did not work. Frustrated and angry, she threw the key far away. She was heading to her landlord to get a spare key when she suddenly saw Jae Gyu walking toward her in the dark. He was holding something long and sharp that looked exactly like a dangerous weapon. Terrified, Bom thought he was coming to kill her, so she ran for her life. When Jae Gyu saw her running, he chased after her. Bom was shaking as she tried to dial the police, but Jae Gyu caught her just in time. "Why are you calling the police?" he asked, holding up the weapon. "This is just a chicken skewer, and the tattoos on my arms are just fabric sleeves I got as a gift." Bom stood there, feeling incredibly embarrassed. Jae Gyu noticed she couldn't open her gate, so he easily jumped over the wall and opened it from the inside. Before leaving, he looked into her eyes and warned, "You will have to pay the price for this mistake." When Jae Gyu got home, he gave the chicken skewer to his nephew, Han Gyeol, as a reward for his award. He casually confirmed the name of Han Gyeol's class teacher, but his nephew gave him a stern look and said, "Uncle, please do not bother my teachers." Later, while taking out the trash, Jae Gyu got lost in old memories. He remembered a moment from the past when he held Yoon Bom in his arms. He felt annoyed that she seemed to have forgotten him completely, but he still smiled because he was secretly happy to meet her again. The next day at school, Bom announced that all students needed to bring their parents for a meeting. However, the governor's daughter refused. When Bom insisted, the girl revealed a shocking secret about Bom's past life in Seoul, leaving Bom stunned and wondering how a student could know that. Later in the staff room, the other teachers scared Bom even more about meeting Jae Gyu. Terrified that he might be angry about the police incident, she called him to meet at 12 o'clock p.m. She started to dress in her usual strict black clothes, but changed her mind, deciding to win the enemy with peace. She wore soft pastel colors instead to look calm and gentle. By evening, the school was empty because the other teachers had run away in fear of Jae Gyu. When he arrived, he was not carrying a weapon, but a huge potted plant to compensate for the damage he caused earlier. During the meeting, Bom nervously tried to explain that Han-gil did not want to go to college, but Jae Gyu just stared at her, not caring about the topic. He was only focused on trying to make her remember him. The more relaxed he acted, the more uneasy Bom felt. Meanwhile, in Seoul, a high-profile lawyer named Choi Yi-jun was staring at files on his desk. He is planning a lawsuit against Jae Gyu and has been searching for him since their school days. Now, he has finally found a clue. The next morning on the way to school, the governor's daughter, Sejin, was waiting for Han-gil. She wanted to apologize to him for rudely mentioning his lack of parents in front of the whole class. Han-gil, who looks tough on the outside but secretly has a crush on Sejin, accepted her apology in his own way. Instead of saying much, he quietly slipped his phone number in her phone. Inside the classroom, the huge flower pot Jae Gyu had brought became a headache. The principal told Yoon Bom, "Get rid of this and take it to your house." Bom and the other teachers struggled to drag the heavy pot. Suddenly, Jae Gyu arrived. Seeing Bom struggling, he lifted the heavy pot all by himself and put it in his car. He then told Bom to get in, drove her home, and even carried the pot all the way up to her terrace. After finishing the hard work, Jae Gyu jokingly asked, "After all this effort, won't you offer me a cup of coffee?" Bom just wanted him to leave quickly, so she lied, "I ran out of coffee at home." Jae Gyu had no choice but to leave. As soon as Jae Gyu left, Bom received a phone call from her father. He was calling to apologize for the harsh words he had said earlier. Hearing her father's voice, Bom felt overwhelmed with emotion. She couldn't speak. She just hung up the phone and started crying. Suddenly, Jae Gyu returned. He had gone to buy coffee and snacks for her since she said she had none. He immediately noticed the tears in her eyes. Without asking any questions, he took a sweet snacks from his pocket, placed it in her hand. "When you feel down, sweets are the best cure." Hearing this, Bom was shocked. She remembered that someone had said this exact same line to her in past. She couldn't remember the face, but the feeling was very familiar. Meanwhile, in Seoul, the lawyer Yi-jun was talking with a celebrity. He was actually a fan of hers and manages her fan page. The woman gave him a secret task. "Find my daughter. She ran away from home after a fight." It is hinted that this daughter might be Bom. On the other side, at Sejin's house, her parents were scolding her harshly for coming in second place in class. Angry and hurt, Sejin left the dinner table and went to her room to text someone about her frustration. The next day, on her way to school, Bom saw Jae Gyu walking out of a police station. He had gone there because he had gotten into a fight with someone. Scared, Bom ran away from the scene. Later in class, while she was teaching about solar energy, the students excitedly suggested, "Ma'am, let's go on a field trip." Han-gil suggested, "My uncle works at a power plant. We can go there for the trip." Bom immediately refused because she wanted to avoid Jae Gyu. However, one of the students was actually a spy for Jae Gyu. The student secretly called him and told him everything. A little later, Jae Gyu stormed into the school. He confronted Bom, asking, "Why did you reject my power plant?" After a long argument, they came to a compromise. They agreed that Bom and Han-gil would visit the plant first to check it out before finalizing the trip. Bom had no choice but to agree. The next morning, Jae Gyu arrived at Bom's house to pick her up along with Han-gil. On the way, Han-gil received a call from Sejin. She told him she was running away from home. Panicked, Han-gil told Jae Gyu to stop the car and ran toward the bus stop. When he found Sejin, she complained, "Because of you, I can never get first rank. That is why I am running away." Just then, Sejin received a text message from a guy named June. Seeing her smile at the message, Han-gil felt jealous. When she walked away to meet the guy, Han-gil followed her. Only Yoon Bom and Jae Gyu were left in the car. Bom did not want to go anywhere alone with him. So she chose a crowded place, and they went to a nearby restaurant. While looking at the menu, Bom's eyes stopped on a specific dish. She ordered it because it was the same dish her father used to make for her whenever she was sick as a child. When the dish arrived, Jae Gyu was a bit hesitant to eat the chicken, so Yoonbom noticed and asked why he wasn't eating. Jae Gyu didn't say anything, but he picked up a whole chicken leg and started digging into it like a wild animal. While they talked, Jae Gyu revealed the truth about the police station incident, explaining that he didn't go there to hit anyone. Actually, a car was blocking a fire truck, so he simply lifted the car with his bare hands to move it. But the owner called the police for damaging their property. Bom saw a good opportunity to ask why he hit the teacher, and Jae Gyu innocently explained that the teacher was playing cards instead of teaching. So he just flipped the table in anger and didn't directly hit him, which must be why the teacher rejected Han Gyeol's award. Bom got scared and was ready to leave until she noticed red rashes popping up on his neck and face. It turned out he had an allergy to that dish, and as he took his medicine, Bom asked why he was eating it if he knew he was allergic. Jae Gyu told her, "If I didn't eat, you wouldn't eat either, and I can't bear to see you hungry," which made Yoonbom laugh like crazy, completely forgetting her act of being a depressed woman, and seeing her laugh like that, Jae Gyu couldn't stop himself from smiling too. She pulled out a prescribed cream and started applying it to his rashes, but as soon as she touched him, Jae Gyu's body stiffened and his face turned red from trying to control his emotions. When he couldn't handle it anymore, he suddenly stood up and lifted her up, along with the bench, to hide his embarrassment by pretending to exercise, warning her never to touch him again. Just then, Han Gyeol called to say they were in Seoul. Jae Gyu rushed to bring him back, and Bom insisted on coming too since she is their class teacher. However, knowing they were in Seoul triggered a flashback for Bom where she once complimented a student's father for being sweet, but the father took this as a hint and started sending her flirty messages, leading his wife to slap Bom in front of the whole school and accuse her of having an affair, the very slap that haunts her dreams. Despite her fear, she decided to go with Jae Gyu. In Seoul, Han Gyeol told Sejin it was his first time in the city, and he was hungry, so they ate instant ramyeon by the Han River. Sejin shared that she was fed up with living up to her parents' expectations, but Han Gyeol sadly said he would give his life to spend just one day with his parents. When Sejin asked about his uncle, Han Gyeol said his uncle treated him well, but he felt he was in debt to his love and could never repay him, making Sejin realize he was even first rank in gratitude. Sejin then received a text from Jun and left to meet him. Jae Gyu and Yoonbom arrived at the station in Seoul and separated to search. Jae Gyu found Han Gyeol, who told him he lost Sejin and that she was going to meet a man and might stay at his house, so they had to act quickly. Bom spotted Sejin with a suspicious man and called Jae Gyu, but the train doors were closing, so he told her to meet him at the next station. He told Han Gyeol to take the next train and decided to run to the next station himself to beat the train. On the way, protesters blocked the path, so he took a huge jump right over their heads. At the next station, Bom had her eyes locked on Sejin, but Sejin saw her and started running. Bom chased them. The doors were just about to close when suddenly, Jae Gyu appeared out of thin air. He was almost about to fall on top of Bom, but he quickly reacted and held her tight in his strong arms. As soon as Bom was in his embrace, time seemed to stop completely. A sudden shock hit Bom's mind, and she finally remembered. In the past, in exactly the same way, this same man had held her in his arms. Bom spotted the man she had seen with Sejin earlier. She and Jae Gyu followed him, which led to a confrontation with Yi Jun. Yi Jun had been looking for Jae Gyu for 10 years, and this is how they met. They immediately started fighting, but Yoon Bome stepped in to stop them. When she questioned Yi Jun, he revealed that he is Sejin's older brother and that Sejin ran away from home to come live with him in Seoul. The story flashes back to the past. During school days, Jae Gyu used to bring infant Han Gyeol to class because there was no one at home to look after the baby, not even his sister. The classmates and teacher scolded him for disturbing the top student, Yi Jun. However, instead of complaining, Yi Jun helped Jae Gyu. He silenced the crying baby instantly, saying he was used to it because he had a little sister at home. After that, They became good friends. But the memory ends on a bitter note as Jae Gyu is seen running away with a box full of Yi Jun's money. On their way back, the trio had to stay overnight at a hotel where only a family room was available. The situation became even more awkward when Jae Gyu and Yoon Bohm entered the room and saw honeymoon-style decorations. To avoid any misunderstanding, Bohm immediately started removing the flowers from the bed. Jae Gyu, trying to hide his embarrassment, started exercising right there on the floor and asked Bohm to hold his legs. But this made the atmosphere worse as they got too close, so Bohm finally told him to go to the hotel gym if he wanted to work out. Later, a call came on Jae Gyu's phone from a contact named That Woman. Bohm went to find him to give him the phone. At the swimming pool area, she saw a child drowning. Jae Gyu jumped in immediately to save him, but when the mother arrived, the child was scared. The mother misunderstood the situation, thinking Jae Gyu had scared her child, and slapped him. This slap shocked Bohm deeply because it reminded her of her own past when she was falsely accused and publicly shamed. This time, she decided not to remain silent. She demanded to see the CCTV footage. The video proved that Jae Gyu had saved the child's life. The mother admitted her mistake and apologized. Jae Gyu then insisted that the woman apologize to Bohm as well, since Bohm was the one who spotted the child first and called for help. That night, Han-gyeol went outside to take a call from Sejin, leaving Bohm and Jae Gyu alone in the room. The silence made it hard to sleep. Suddenly, Jae Gyu looked ahead and said, "How beautiful." Bohm was shocked and blushed, thinking he was complimenting her. But soon she realized he was admiring the starry sky of Seoul. Embarrassed, she went to sleep and decided to keep pretending that she still doesn't remember her past with Jae Gyu, so that things can continue as they are. The next morning, Yi Jun called the celebrity woman and told her that he had found her daughter. However, he refused to give the address because he wanted to respect Sejin's decision to stay away from her family. The next day at school, Jae Gyu came to give an umbrella to Han Gyeol. Upon seeing Bohm, he teased her, saying they spent the night together. Hearing this, another teacher later warned Bohm to stay away from Jae Gyu. But Bohm defended him, saying he is not a bad man and those are just rumors. The teacher was surprised to see her take his side and mentioned that she had seen Jae Gyu with a crying woman who was begging just to get a glimpse of her child. Then, in the staff room, people started talking that maybe Jae Gyu is Han Gyeol's biological father. Bohm also started having doubts, remembering the call from That Woman, but in the end, she told herself that it is none of her business. While going home, Yoon Bohm saw that Jae Gyu was breaking the drainage line. She scolded him, saying that it is public property and he cannot do whatever he wants with it. But as soon as Jae Gyu pulled the iron rods apart, Yoon Bohm realized that Jae Gyu was actually rescuing a puppy and she had completely misunderstood him. The puppy had an injury on its leg, so they took it to the vet. To make sure the puppy didn't feel cold, he took off his shirt and covered it. Seeing him shirtless, the receptionist was completely drooling over him, but Yoon Bohm's eyes fell on a deep scar on Jae Gyu's back. She also noticed a scar on his hand which Jae Gyu tried to hide, but Bohm told him, "Scars aren't bad, they are the proof of the pain we endured." Just then the doctor came out and asked if he is Han Gyeol's father. Bohm denied it, but Jae Gyu said yes, which made all the rumors seem true that he is Han Gyeol's biological father. But in the end, it turned out that Jae Gyu had named the puppy Han Gyeol, and while filling the form, he listed himself and Bohm as its parents. After this, they went to eat, where Jae Gyu continued the act of being parents. The restaurant lady also misunderstood and suggested that they should have a baby girl soon too. Jae Gyu enjoyed this misunderstanding fully. But Bohm realized that she had completely misunderstood Jae Gyu from the start, so she asked Jae Gyu if they could meet for drinks tomorrow evening and visit his power plant later alone. On the other hand, Yi Jun went to Jae Gyu's house and saw many of Han Gyeol's awards there. He understood how difficult the competition must have been for Sejin. Jae Gyu returned the money he had taken in the past. In fact, he returned 3 times the amount taken. But Yi Jun said he didn't want money, he wanted an apology. Sejin returned home and told her brother that she wants to beat Hangul by coming first in class. Yijun also mentioned that he too wants revenge from a member of that same family, but he didn't tell his sister the reason. The next day, Jae-gyu's worker suggested to him that if Bohm is interested in him, she will put more effort into making herself beautiful than usual. When they met in the evening, Bohm came dressed very beautifully. She made a meat wrap with her own hands and fed it to Jae-gyu. She even put an apron on him so that meat stains wouldn't get on his shirt. Seeing so much affection suddenly, Jae-gyu became completely confused, but at the same time, he was blushing. All the signs made it seem like she liked him. Jae-gyu was excited about Yunbom's confession. However, it turned out that he had completely misunderstood her actions. Bohm confessed that she finally remembered him from the past. When she left Seoul and came here, Bohm was going through a very dark time and was relying on alcohol to drown her sorrows. Jae-gyu noticed her by chance, and his only intention was to check if she was safe. While going home, she tried to end her life by stepping in front of a truck, but Jae-gyu rushed in to save her. Today, she wore the same dress just to show that she remembered his kindness. Her caring actions today were simply her way of paying back that debt. She even returned the sweet candy he had given her, stating that now they were equal. When Jae-gyu asked why she had tried to give up on life, Bohm became very defensive. She told him to mind his own business. She said she doesn't go around sharing her personal problems with everyone, and as a parent and a teacher, they need to maintain a distance. The next day, Bohm was struggling with wasps that had made their home inside the plant gifted by Jae-gyu. As she ran outside to escape a wasp, she bumped into Sejin's older brother, Yijun. He tried to help her, but the wasp stung him instead. Actually, he had come to thank Bohm for caring for his sister and brought her a meal as a gesture of gratitude. He also gave her his phone number in case she wanted to call him after eating. Jae-gyu wanted to apologize to Bohm, but couldn't gather the courage to message her, so he went to the dojo to cool off. There, the teachers were learning martial arts for the upcoming sports festival and were terrified to see Jae-gyu as their coach. The PE teacher challenged him to a fight, but Jae-gyu wasn't in the mood, so he was just avoiding it. However, when he heard a teacher mention Bohm's name on a phone call, a sudden wave of energy rushed through him. He threw the PE teacher aside, and they learned that Bohm was struggling with a wasp problem. At school, everyone was being divided into teams based on the color of the balls they picked. Hangul and Sejin ended up on different teams, but the teachers were arguing because the white team had all the strong players. To make things fair, they asked Bohm to join the blue team, but she wasn't interested in it at all. Bohm's colleague, who was also her landlady, suggested a man known as the Wasp Hunter to hire for the wasp problem she had at home. At home, she had misplaced her white ball, and she had no option left but to join the blue team. She heated up the meal Yijun had brought. Seeing it reminded her of her father. As soon as she tasted it, tears welled up in her eyes because it tasted exactly like her father's recipe. She dialed Yijun's number to thank him, but just then, the Wasp Hunter arrived. It was none other than Jae Gyu in disguise. She told him she didn't care if he cut the plant. She just wanted to get rid of the wasps. She gave him the job of cutting the tree too, and seeing him working hard, she even brought him something to drink. Just then, Yijun called back. Bohm thanked him and asked him to meet at a cafe on the evening of the 24th to return his lunchbox. Hearing this, Jae Gyu got furious and chopped the entire tree down in just 3 strikes. As the tree began to fall toward Bohm, he stepped in between to block it, and a sound escaped his mouth. Bohm immediately recognized his voice. She accused him of stalking her, paid him for the work, and angrily asked him to leave. Jae Gyu already had a bad reputation, and now he is wandering the town with an axe in his hand and a broken heart, making his bad image even worse. Yijun is seen meeting Yunbom's parents. That is when it is revealed that her father was the one who sent her the meal, but he had asked Yijun not to tell Bohm. It also reveals why Bohm left home in the past. Bohm wanted to take legal action against the woman who made false accusations against her and defamed her. However, her mother stopped her because she gave preference to her own celebrity reputation over Bohm's trauma. What was even more hurtful was that her father questioned her innocence instead of supporting her. But now her parents have realized their mistake and want to support Bohm's decision to seek legal help. Bohm had also collected some evidence, so they handed that evidence to Yi-jun so he could prepare the case and get her justice. In the evening, as per the plan, Yi-jun and Bohm met at a coffee shop. They were talking about how similar their tastes are. Yi-jun noticed Jae Gyu nearby listening to their conversation. Intentionally, Yi-jun said loudly how much the people of this town interfere in others' lives. Bohm also agreed with him. This hurt Jae Gyu, so he left the cafe and went to see his child. He named him Bohm Sik and shared with him that if you love or care for someone, obviously you will interfere if they have any problem. At school, both Yi-jun and Jae Gyu decided to volunteer as parents for the two rival teams. At the hospital, Jae Gyu saw that Yoon Bohm had come to meet the puppy, Bohm Sik. Last time, she had left her white ball there and promised Bohm Sik that she would win the medal for him and put it around his neck. Now, Jae Gyu wanted to win the medal for Yoon Bohm because due to that ball, he thought Bohm was also in the white team. He started training his white team, but Han Gyeol had no interest in winning because Sejin had promised to take a photo with Han Gyeol only if she defeated him. But with Jae Gyu being on the team, it seemed impossible for the other team to win. While the white team was trying to increase physical strength, Yi-jun was making strategies to win the game using his brain. After school, Jae Gyu and Bohm had an awkward encounter while they came to see Bohm Sik. Both complained to Bohm Sik indirectly about how the person in front of them just doesn't understand them. Jae Gyu then announced that he would win the medal for Bohm Sik no matter what, though he was actually saying this indirectly to Yoon Bohm. Now the day arrived that everyone had been preparing for. Han Gil requested Jae Gyu not to participate in the match, but Jae Gyu told him that winning is very important for Yoon Bohm. Then, Han Gil revealed that Yoon Bohm is actually in the blue team, and she will only win if he loses. Hearing this, Jae Gyu was not happy seeing so much motivation in his own team, and told them that sometimes it is okay to lose. He even gave some advice to Yi-jun and assured him that no matter what, Yi-jun must win first place. Yi-jun was completely confused, thinking this must be some mind trick before the game. Sejin was worried that Jae Gyu was playing for the opposing team, and now winning seemed difficult for her, but Han Gyeol assured her that she would win and reminded her to keep her promise of taking a photo together. But the twist in the story came when Yoon Bohm entered the field, unzipped her jacket, revealed a white t-shirt, and showed everyone that she was participating for the white team. Jae Gyu had already decided that he would not be on the team because he had promised Han Gyeol, and also because Yoon Bohm was playing for the blue team. An elderly woman was taking his place, but the efforts weren't just one-sided. Yoon Bohm also wanted to play on Jae Gyu's team, so she brought back her original personality and clearly told her colleague not to take her as a pushover or put her in any team as they wished. However, now that Jae Gyu wasn't playing, he didn't care who was playing for the white team. But when he found out that Yoon Bohm was actually playing for the white team, Jae Gyu started regretting the promise he made to Han Gyeol. Yi-jun was also shocked to see that Yoon Bohm wasn't playing for his team. When he talked to his sister about this, he found out that she knew about Yoon Bohm's soul story through her parents. He warned her not to tell anyone, but Sejin put a condition. Only if he makes her win this event, she wouldn't tell anyone. As soon as the sports festival began, the first game was the relay race. Seeing Jae Gyu with the audience, Bohm realized that Jae Gyu had resigned from the position of parent representative. The white team fell far behind because of that elderly participant, so Han Gyeol had to cover her distance as well during his turn. Both teams started cheering for our celebrity student, but as he was passing the baton, he intentionally threw it into the air so that Sejin could win the first game. The elderly woman couldn't play anymore, so Yoon Bohm wanted Jae Gyu to join the team again. She pleaded with him and even promised that if they won, she would tell him everything that happened to her in Seoul. But Jae Gyu didn't agree. She even got down on her knees, trying to emotionally blackmail our soft-hearted Jae Gyu. She pleaded, "At least play for that elderly woman. Winning this medal was her childhood dream." Tears welled up in his eyes, but he still refused to budge. When she realized she couldn't ask anymore, she simply told him, "I need you." Madly in love, Jae Gyu completely melted at those words, instantly forgetting the promise he had made to his nephew. Break time was nearly over. Yi-jun brought an iced coffee for Yoon Bohm, but he noticed she hadn't even touched the lunch he provided. Instead, the lunchbox Jae Gyu had prepared for her was completely empty. Stung by jealousy, Yi-jun was now fully determined to win the next game. The next match was tug of war. As everyone took their positions, Jae Gyu stepped onto the field. Yi-jun began taunting him, but Jae Gyu made it clear he had no right to do so. The scene flashed back to the past. Some students were bullying Yi-jun, but when Jae Gyu intervened, they all scattered in fear. Yi-jun tried to make a deal. If Jae Gyu protected him, he would tutor him for college. However, Jae Gyu had neither the money for tuition nor the time to study, so he argued it would be a waste. To seal the deal, Yi-jun promised to pay his college fees as well. Back in the present, Jae Gyu tightened his grip on the rope and pulled with all his might, securing a victory for the white team. Everyone erupted in celebration. Just then, a mysterious woman looking for Jae Gyu arrived at his house. Phillips informed her that everyone was currently at the school for the sports festival, so she headed in that direction. It was the final match of the competition, where the teams had to break open targets with balls. The blue team's target was just about to break when Jae Gyu threw 3 balls at once, smashing the white team's target and securing their victory. Everyone started celebrating, but Sejin was heartbroken. Seeing her look so upset, Han Gyul couldn't bring himself to be happy either. While everyone was celebrating the victory, the mysterious woman arrived at the scene and watched Jae Gyu and Han Gyul from a distance. Upon reaching home, Han Gyul cornered Jae Gyu and demanded to know why he had broken his promise. In response, Jae Gyu countered by asking why Han Gyul was so eager to lose in the first place. In the heat of the moment, they both confessed that they did it all for love, and then they both felt shy. Alone at home, Yoon Bohm was enthusiastically celebrating her victory with the plant Jae Gyu had gifted her. She was slowly falling for him too, but then she remembered her promise. Now, she would have to tell Jae Gyu the whole truth. Sejin's parents were watching the recording of her relay race. Sejin noticed in the video that Han Gyul looked genuinely happy about her win. She called him out to meet and asked him directly if he liked her. The next day, Bohmsik was due to be discharged from the hospital, so they decided to adopt him. However, an argument broke out between them over who he would stay with. Jae Gyu argued that he had experience raising children, but Yoon Bohm insisted that a child belongs with its mother. Finally, they agreed that Yoon Bohm would take him home, and Jae Gyu would visit Bohmsik twice a week. Meanwhile, Yi-jun rushed to the city. Yoon Bohm's mother was in the hospital because, during a film press conference, a reporter had tried to bring up the topic of her daughter, causing her to suffer panic attacks. Her mother pleaded with Yi-jun to help her. Consequently, Yi-jun opened his own office, right there in Sinsu, to handle Yoon Bohm's case. Back in the town, Jae Gyu was building a doghouse for Bohmsik, which the puppy loved. Later, the three of them went to Jae Gyu's power plant. There, Jae Gyu reminded Bohm of her promise, and asked why she had gotten so angry that day, wondering if he had truly crossed the line by asking that question. Bohm confessed to Jae Gyu that it wasn't him she was afraid of. She was afraid that she might cross the line herself. Jae Gyu asked, "Do you wish you could?" In her mind, Bohm was screaming no, but her lips betrayed her, and she whispered, "Yes." When Jae Gyu asked why she was hesitating, we are taken back to her traumatic past. A memory flashed before her eyes, a student's parent pounding on her apartment door late at night, demanding she open up, claiming she had once said she liked him. When she threatened to call the police, the man only banged harder. This memory was enough to shake Bohm to her core. Although she didn't tell him, Jae Gyu understood that Bohm was likely terrified of getting romantically involved with a student's parent because she knew how easily her reputation could be destroyed. Instead of pressuring her, he made a shocking promise. He told her he would wait 2 years until Hang-yeol graduated before they officially became a couple. After work, some teachers stopped by a cafe and spotted Jae Gyu sitting with another woman. They began whispering that she was the same beautiful woman who had been crying in front of him at the market. Seeing the woman holding Jae Gyu's hand, Bohm felt a surge of jealousy and anger. She stormed out, thinking, "He can't even wait 1 day for me, let alone 2 years." The next morning, seeing Hang-yeol looking troubled, Jae Gyu asked how his date with Se-jin went. Since Se-jin had carelessly mentioned she preferred thrillers over romance, Hang-yeol hid his true feelings. Instead of confessing his love, he lied, claiming he wasn't happy about her win. He was just mocking her for celebrating a small victory. Then, Hang-yeol turned the tables and asked, "How was your date with my teacher?" Jae Gyu admitted, "I have to wait 2 years to make her my girlfriend." Hang-yeol's jaw dropped in disbelief. Determined to make Jae Gyu regret his decision, Bohm arrived at school looking absolutely stunning. She wanted to talk to him, but her beauty had such a powerful effect on Jae Gyu that he panicked. Unable to control his racing heart, he literally ran away the moment he saw her. Naturally, Bohm misunderstood again, thinking he was deliberately avoiding her. Later that evening, Bohm's door lock got jammed. As luck would have it, Jae Gyu was passing by, but when she called out for help, instead of rushing to her aid, he took one look at her, got flustered by her beauty again, and ran away into the night. With no other choice, Bohm tried to climb the wall herself. Just as she was about to fall, Yi-jun caught her. It turned out he had moved into the same neighborhood. Bohm asked him if he was free this weekend because she needed to talk to him about something important. The next day, Jae Gyu tried meditating to stay calm around Bohm. Suddenly, Yi-jun called him. Because Jae Gyu lost their bet at the sports event, he had to do whatever Yi-jun said. This included calling him darling. Yi-jun teased him and offered his business card, saying, "Call me if you ever need a lawyer." Jae Gyu laughed and said he would rather go to jail than ask for his help. Just as Jae Gyu was leaving, he overheard Bohm inviting Yi-jun to lunch. He instantly felt jealous and curious about their relationship. Meanwhile, the whole village was on high alert. A thief was on the loose and had even stolen an old woman's medal. Everyone was being extra careful. At the cafe, Yi-jun realized Bohm did not invite him for a romantic date. She actually wanted him to give a career counseling lecture at her school. Yi-jun saw this as a perfect chance. He started talking about his legal cases, specifically those involving teachers who were harassed by parents. His plan worked. Bohm started to open up about her own past, pretending the story was about a friend of a friend. Suddenly, students rushed in screaming, "Thief! There is a thief at Miss Bohm's house!" She ran home, only to find Jae Gyu in handcuffs. Actually, he was there to meet Bohm sick, but was mistaken for a robber. He heard the students yelling, "Thief!" from outside. Jae Gyu saw the man running away and chased him all the way to the beach. Meanwhile, Yi-jun had secretly put his phone on the thief's bike to track him. He and the police followed the signal. When the man realized he had nowhere to go, he pulled out a weapon, but Jae Gyu was not scared at all. However, when the police arrived at the beach, instead of thanking Jae Gyu for catching the guy, they arrested him for assault. At the police station, the embarrassing truth came out. The thief was actually a locksmith sent by the landlady to fix Bohm's gate. The students saw him breaking the lock and mistook him for a burglar. The poor man ran away because he was terrified of Jae Gyu's angry face. Now, Jae Gyu was in jail for no reason. Bohm was furious. She scolded Jae Gyu for using his fists instead of his brain, just like Yi-jun would have. This comparison hurt Jae Gyu deeply, especially since he was already jealous of their lunch date. So, when Yi-jun offered his legal help to get him out, Jae Gyu's pride took over, and he flatly refused. Neither Jae Gyu nor Yoon-bom could sleep a wink that night. The next morning, Jae Gyu managed to get bail, but he still had to pay a settlement for the damages he caused to the locksmith. The very first thing he did was visit the shop to apologize, but it was closed. With nowhere else to go, he started wandering through the market. There, he spotted Yoon Bom, but she completely ignored him. He was confused and hurt. Why wasn't she even a little curious about whether he was okay? She was there to buy a huge pot for her plant. Just as she was struggling with the heavy load and about to fall, Jae Gyu stepped in to help her, carrying it all the way to her home. Bom desperately wanted to ask about the woman she had seen him with, but she hesitated. Sensing the tension, Jae Gyu confronted her. He told her that she had changed since that day, adding that it was already difficult for him to maintain the professional distance of a parent and teacher between them, and her cold behavior was making it even harder. Yunbom took this the wrong way. She snapped back, telling him that she didn't expect him to change his mind in just one day either. She added that if it was so hard for him to keep his promise of waiting, he should just forget about them entirely. Hurt by her harsh words, he left and went to see the locksmith. There, he learned the shocking truth. The locksmith revealed that Yoon Bom had been there early in the morning. She had gotten down on her knees to beg for a settlement so Jae Gyu could get bail. She had even bought every single lock in his shop to appease him. Furthermore, when she found out the locksmith was a huge fan of Song Ga-in, whose concert tickets were entirely sold out, she didn't give up. Despite her strained relationship with her family, she swallowed her pride and called her mother to use her connections to secure a ticket. Her parents were shocked to receive a call from her for such a bizarre reason, but she did it all for Jae Gyu. As the locksmith flaunted his signed posters of the pop star, Jae Gyu realized everything. He ran straight to Yoon Bom. He asked her why she would bow down and beg on her knees for him behind his back, yet treat him so coldly when he was right in front of her. Finally, she couldn't hold it in anymore. She burst into tears and confronted him. "Why were you holding hands with another woman right after you promised to wait for me?" Jae Gyu immediately understood the misunderstanding. He apologized for making her feel insecure. Then, deciding that he couldn't wait anymore, he leaned in to kiss her, effectively breaking his promise to wait 2 years and making their relationship official right then and there. After their first kiss, Bom ran away out of embarrassment. Jae Gyu thought he had done something wrong, so he quickly followed her. However, she insisted that he must tell her the truth. Who was the woman holding his hand at the cafe? At this moment, we get a glimpse into Jae Gyu's past. The woman was actually his sister. Years ago, she had handed baby Hangyeol over to Jae Gyu, promising to come back for him, but she never returned. After trying to contact her many times with no reply, Jae Gyu cut all ties with her. Years later, when she finally came back looking for him, Jae Gyu warned her that if she ever showed up in this town again, he would kill her himself. However, Jae Gyu did not know how to explain this dark family secret to Bom, so he lied. He told her the woman was just a clingy insurance agent trying to sell him a policy. He added that he told the woman his tough and strong body did not need insurance, so she would never come back to town. With the misunderstanding cleared, Jae Gyu asked if they could go on a few dates to make the 2-year wait easier. Bom agreed. She promised they would go on a date the day after the school trip to the power plant. Meanwhile, in Seoul, Bom's sudden phone call made her mother worried. She wanted to come visit Bom, but Yijun calmed her down, telling her to be patient, as he had already gained Bom's trust, and soon she would reopen her case. At school, Yijun arrived as a guest speaker to give a lecture to the students about his legal career. The students were so impressed by his achievements and his speech that they applauded loudly. On the other hand, Jae Gyu was completely lost in his own world, daydreaming about his promised date with Bom. Hangil pointed out that he had been acting very strangely lately. When Jae Gyu confessed that he finally got a date with his teacher, Hangul warned him. He mentioned that Yijun's lecture had impressed everyone at school that day, including Bom. Hangul advised Jae Gyu to do something special, or Bom might get bored and change her mind during their 2-year wait. In the staff room, the teachers were gossiping and speaking badly about Jae Gyu, as usual. They wondered how any girl could like a thug like him. Hearing this, Bom immediately defended him. She stated that he was not a thug, and that the woman seen with him was just an annoying insurance agent. When a teacher suspiciously asked how she knew such personal details, Bom tried to sneak away. The teacher followed her and directly asked if something was going on between them. Bohm covered it up by saying they had just adopted a puppy together and that there was nothing romantic going on. However, she realized she needed to be much more careful in public from now on. When they arrived at the power plant, Jae Gyu decided to follow Hangyul's advice to impress Bohm. He made a dramatic entrance by jumping down from a wind turbine. Everyone was shocked and highly impressed by his daring stunt. One student even joked and asked if he needed another nephew. Hoping for some praise, Jae Gyu asked Bohm what she thought of the company's vision. But once again, she gave a flat reply and simply asked to meet their CEO. Philip then guided them to the main office. There, the big secret was finally revealed. Jae Gyu was actually the CEO of JQ Energy. He was waiting for them inside, dressed sharply in a full suit. Seeing this, Bohm was completely shocked. The students and Hangyul started praising him endlessly, calling him perfect husband material. But Jae Gyu only cared about what Bohm thought of him. Instead of praising him, Bohm just asked about lunch, mentioning that the students were hungry. This made Jae Gyu a bit anxious. At lunchtime, Yoon Bohm intentionally kept her distance. But when she noticed Jae Gyu still staring at her from afar, she quickly ran away to avoid him. Jae Gyu immediately chased after her. Meanwhile, Hangyul tried to impress Sejin by giving her all his beef, which is considered a very special gesture in Korea. However, she coldly rejected it, claiming she was on a diet. Scared of the growing rumors, Bohm wanted to cancel her date with Jae Gyu, but he reassured her, promising that he knew every secret spot in town where no one would ever find them. The next morning at 4:30 a.m., he picked her up to watch the sunrise at the beach. But suddenly, some people they knew showed up for a morning jog. Bohm quickly hid under a blanket. Jae Gyu tried to make them leave, but they insisted on keeping him company and ended up eating the entire lunchbox he had prepared, right in front of his eyes. To make up for it, he took Bohm to another secret restaurant for breakfast. But to their surprise, the school principal was already there. To avoid getting caught, they had to sit and eat at completely different tables. Finally, they went to a carnival. Unfortunately, a suspicious teacher spotted them there. To escape her, they ran into a haunted house and hid inside a closet. The teacher followed them closely, determined to catch them red-handed. She failed to find them, but the tight space inside the closet finally gave our lovebirds a chance to share a sweet, close moment together. Their date ended up being a disaster. Seeing her sadness, Jae Gyu decided to prepare a special date in the playground of a school that had been permanently closed so that their day could end on a happy note. With the day almost over, they had to say their goodbyes, reaffirming their plan to wait 2 years before officially pursuing their relationship. Jae Gyu placed a gift in Bohm's hands and told her to open it whenever she missed him. In return, Bohm asked him never to wear a suit in front of any other girl. Jae Gyu promised that he would only wear one again when they finally reunited. Just as they were about to part ways and say goodbye, Bohm asked him for a tight hug. However, their intimate moment did not go unnoticed. Jin Hyuk, another teacher at the school, witnessed Jae Gyu and Bohm in a warm hug from a distance. Caught red-handed, the couple panicked and begged him not to expose their relationship. Jin Hyuk agreed to keep their secret, but only in exchange for 2 favors. He asked Bohm to gather some sensitive data against one of Yi Jun's employees, and he demanded that Jae Gyu deliberately lose to him in their upcoming judo match so he could impress Hae Suk. Meanwhile, Jae Gyu's sister, Hae Yeon, arrived in town and eventually crossed paths with Han Gyul. She quietly handed him some cash and asked him not to mention their meeting to his uncle, leaving Han Gyul confused and curious about the strange woman. Han Gyul tried to tell Jae Gyu about the encounter, but Jae Gyu was so lost in his own thoughts that he didn't listen. The next day, Jin Hyuk handed Bohm a list of questions regarding the information he wanted. Later, during the judo match, Jae Gyu followed through on the deal and allowed Jin Hyuk to defeat him. The victory shocked Hae Suk, and Jae Gyu pretended to be too ashamed to get up, ensuring the plan worked perfectly. Later, Bohm unexpectedly ran into Hae Yeon. Believing the lie that she was just a persistent insurance agent, Bohm subtly insulted her. That was when Hae Yeon corrected her, revealing she was not an insurance agent as Jae Gyu had claimed, and suggested that Baum ask him about their real relationship. Furious, Baum gave Jae Gyu one last chance, either tell her the truth or they were over. Jae Gyu finally revealed his dark past. Years ago, Hae-yeon had returned home with a newborn baby, but refused to reveal the father's identity. Her father tried to beat her and throw her out, so to protect the child, she handed the baby to Jae Gyu. She left for Seoul, promising to earn money and provide for both her brother and her son. Sadly, she never contacted them again until recently. Learning that this mysterious woman was actually Jae Gyu's estranged sister and Hang-yeol's mother, Baum urged him to tell Hang-yeol that his mother was alive. But Jae Gyu was dead set against it, and the reason was clear. The woman had only returned to claim her inheritance from their father. She had even promised never to show up again if Jae Gyu gave her the money she wanted. Still, Baum had a different perspective. She argued that no matter how terrible the woman was, Hang-yeol missed his mother. She warned Jae Gyu that the boy would feel betrayed if he eventually realized his uncle had been deceiving him. At school, Hang-yeol was searching for a gift to ask Sejin out on a date. However, he decided on a unique gesture. He would give up on his final exams as a gift, allowing Sejin to take the spot of the school's top student. A massive typhoon hit the town. Because Jae Gyu's house was equipped with solar panels, it was the only place with electricity. Hang-yeol asked if he could invite Sejin and others to study. Soon, Jae Gyu opened his doors to shelter others as everyone's in need of electricity, turning his home into absolute chaos. Despite the house being full of people, Baum was nowhere to be found. She was last seen with Yi-jun, but now no one knew where she was. Panicking, both Jae Gyu and Yi-jun rushed out into the fierce storm to search for her. It turned out Baum had lost the gift Jae Gyu gave her and was desperately looking for it in the middle of the storm. She finally found it, but at that exact moment, a heavy signboard fell straight toward her. Meanwhile, back at the house, Sejin was secretly keeping an eye on Hang-yeol to figure out his secret to ranking first in school. While spying on him, she hid in the laundry room. But just as Hang-yeol was about to take off his shirt, he caught her. Startled, she lost her balance and fell right on top of him. When Hang-yeol realized why she was hiding there, he kindly offered her his room and study desk so she could prepare for the exams comfortably, while he went to sleep on the sofa. Eventually, when Baum regained consciousness, she found herself in Yi-jun's arms. She had no memory of the falling signboard. When she finally went to Jae Gyu, he completely lost his temper. He had been terrified and was furious that she went out in the heavy rain. Baum replied that she had a good reason, but Jae Gyu said harsh words that broke her heart. Upset, she walked out of the house again. Jae Gyu chased after her, and that was when Baum finally confessed. She had risked her life in that deadly storm just to find his gift, secretly hoping there might be a ring inside. Hearing this, Jae Gyu's anger melted away instantly, though he was still worried about her recklessness. In reality, during the accident, Jae Gyu had used his own body as a shield to protect Baum from the falling signboard. He got injured while saving her, which is why he had to leave the unconscious Baum with Yi-jun and go see a doctor. Since Baum had blacked out, she had no idea this had happened. Once the whole truth came out, everything was fixed between our lovebirds. Suddenly, tears began falling from Jae Gyu's eyes, completely out of his control. To comfort him, Baum gently kissed his cheek, and in response, Jae Gyu pulled her in for a passionate kiss on the lips. Later on, Sejin was feeling cold, so Hang-yeol went to Jae Gyu's room to get an electric heating pad. Instead of the pad, his eyes fell on inheritance papers signed by Sun Hee-yeon. He immediately remembered the strange woman he had met outside the house earlier. Connecting the dots, he realized the shocking truth and marched straight out to confront his uncle about his mother. The sudden confrontation caught Jae Gyu completely off guard, and he struggled to find the words to answer. His silence, however, became his answer. Hang-yeol walked away, bottling up the pain and misunderstanding inside him instead of resolving it. The next morning, Jae Gyu tried to fix things in his own awkward way. He woke up early to prepare Hang-yeol's favorite breakfast, but Hang-yeol refused to eat and walked out the door for school. Sejin ran after him to hand him the invitation for their friend's grandmother's birthday. Having overheard the tense conversation the night before, she tried to cheer him up by asking if he wanted to get ice cream after the party. Later that day, Jae Gyu hosted the grandmother's birthday party. He prepared all the meals himself, carefully considering the health and dietary needs of the village elders. His thoughtfulness impressed everyone. Even the teachers who usually badmouthed him began appreciating him. Han-gyeol, however, saw the celebration as his perfect opportunity. With everyone distracted, he secretly slipped away and rushed off to Seoul to meet his mother. Back at the party, Jae Gyu was confiding in Baum about his desire to resolve things with Han-gyeol. Suddenly, the restaurant owner, with whom Jae Gyu had once joked about them being a married couple, recognized them and loudly asked about their baby. To make matters worse, Jin Hyeok broke his promise and revealed to the crowd that he had once caught Baum and Jae Gyu hugging. That single comment exposed their relationship to everyone in the room. Yi-jun stood there, completely shocked and quietly heartbroken. What was once a private romance had suddenly become a gossip. Meanwhile, one of Han-gyul's friends unintentionally revealed to Sejin that Han-gyul had headed to Seoul. Sensing something was wrong, Sejin immediately alerted Jae Gyu. In Seoul, Han-gyul finally reunited with his mother. She took him to a fancy restaurant where they spent some time catching up. She spun a convincing story, telling him that she had never abandoned him. She claimed she had only left to earn money, but when she returned, their family home had burned down. She shifted the blame to Jae Gyu, claiming he was the one who had prevented her from visiting him after that incident. She admitted that she had another family now, but insisted that Han-gyul still meant the world to her and that he could come to see her whenever he wanted. Hearing this, Han-gyul felt like he was on cloud 9, his doubts finally washing away. However, just as he was about to leave, he turned back to ask for her phone number and overheard her speaking on the phone with Jae Gyu. Conversation revealed the gut-wrenching truth. His mother had abandoned him. Her warm words were nothing but an act, a condition Jae Gyu had set to protect Han-gyul's feelings in exchange for giving her their father's property. In an instant, his newly created world shattered. Heartbroken and alone, Han-gyul called Sejin. Without hesitation, Sejin asked her brother to drive her to Seoul immediately. Back in town, Baum gently comforted Jae Gyu, who was drowning in guilt over everything Han-gyul had suffered since childhood. While they waited anxiously for him at the station, Yi-jun called to reassure Jae Gyu that they had found Han-gyul and were bringing him home. In Seoul, Sejin found Han-gyul by the Han River. Just like before, they sat by the water, and finally, all of Han-gyul's suppressed emotions spilled out. After Sejin comforted him, the pain began to fade, and he finally smiled. In that moment, they confessed their feelings and officially began their romance. When Han-gyul returned home, he didn't confront Jae Gyu or expose their plan. Instead, he simply asked for his uncle's home-cooked meal. He told Jae Gyu that he cared more about him than anyone else in the world, and now he isn't interested to meet his mother anymore. To lighten the mood, he even announced that he and Sejin were now dating, making Jae Gyu happier than ever. The next day, Baum faced uncomfortable whispers at school. A colleague confronted her for dating a student's guardian. Thankfully, Hae-suk stepped in and shut the gossip down, declaring that it wasn't a crime for two single adults to date. Gaining strength from this, Baum apologized to the staff for the chaos and promised that her personal life would never bias her treatment of students. With their relationship now out in the open, Baum and Jae Gyu went on a proper date. They revisited all the places they couldn't enjoy the last time. They spent the entire date holding hands, even while eating. When Jae Gyu walked Baum to her house, neither wanted to say goodbye. Unable to part ways, they spent the night together, falling asleep in each other's arms. However, trouble was brewing. Yi-jun informed Baum's mother about her scandal involving a student's parent. Stressed and realizing her daughter hadn't learned her lesson, her mother decided to head to Sinsu the very next morning to talk some sense into her. As she got stuck behind slow tractor on the narrow suburban roads, completely lost without a GPS signal, she inevitably ended up in an accident. As she sat there praying for a savior, it was Jae Gyu who appeared to rescue her. Recognizing her immediately as the famous actress she is, Jae Gyu graciously took her to his home, offering her food and accommodation. Later, when Baum called asking to meet, Jae Gyu declined, mentioning he had a guest. Hearing a woman's voice in the background, Bohm's curiosity got the better of her. She visited him after school, only to be shocked by the true identity of this guest. Bohm was furious to see her mother following her around, the same woman who had called her a disgrace and mentally pushed her to the brink of suicide in the past. She refused to speak to her mother and coldly paid her back for the concert tickets she had given her earlier, severing that tie. Ms. Jung also lashed out, declaring that she did not approve of Jae Gyu at all. Interestingly, before she knew who he was, she had been quite impressed by his helpful nature. Suddenly, she claimed she didn't understand this country bumpkin or his intentions and stormed off to Yi Jun's office. Yi Jun panicked upon seeing her. Terrified that if Bohm found out he had been spying on her for her mother, she would be deeply offended and never forgive him. As she tried to dig up dirt on Jae Gyu from Yi Jun, we got a glimpse into their painful past. Jae Gyu had grown up with an abusive father, while Yi Jun had saved up a box of money he received from his own father for getting good grades. With that money, they had planned to run away together, attend college in Seoul, and escape their families forever. However, after Jae Gyu's house caught fire and his father died, Yi Jun discovered that his best friend had vanished, taking all the money with him. In the present, Jae Gyu refused to tell Miss Jung anything about his past and bluntly asked her to leave town, but she stubbornly refused to budge. Meanwhile, the encounter sent Bohm spiraling back into her past traumas. In a moment of resolve to move forward, she finally checked the legal documents Yi Jun had prepared for her, contemplating a permanent break from her painful past. Later, Bohm and Jae Gyu went on a lunch date. Bohm felt terrible about how her mother had insulted him and apologized on her behalf. Jae Gyu brushed it off with a smile, saying he didn't take her mother's criticism seriously. After lunch, he took her to his dojo to teach her some basic self-defense skills so she could protect herself against the world. While Bohm tried her best to learn the moves, Jae Gyu couldn't help but have a little fun teasing her. Outside, Yi Jun noticed someone peeking through the dojo's window. It turned out to be Bohm's mother, trying to spy on Jae Gyu. Realizing that hiding things would only create a bigger misunderstanding, Yi Jun decided it was time to confess everything to Bohm. He approached Bohm from behind. However, Bohm, thinking it was Jae Gyu testing her reflexes, instinctively used her newly learned moves on him. After flipping him over, she realized it was Yi Jun and quickly apologized. She then hinted that a friend of a friend might need his legal help soon, obviously talking about herself in disguise. Yi Jun realized it wasn't the right time to tell her the truth. Romance was also beginning to bloom between Hong Yeol and Se-jin. They went on a date to watch a horror movie. Hong Yeol thoughtfully brought a soft toy for Se-jin to hold whenever she got scared. However, Se-jin secretly wished he would just hold her hand instead. Later, while walking home, Se-jin almost tripped. To catch her, Hong Yeol instinctively grabbed her hand. Right at that moment, Se-jin's parents spotted them. They immediately started scolding Se-jin for being careless with her studies. But Hong Yeol bravely stood up for her, telling her parents just how hard she had been working on her studies. On the other hand, Miss Jung hadn't given up her suspicions. Dressed in black clothes and a mask, she began stalking Jae Gyu. Jae Gyu noticed his stalker and decided to have a little fun playing along with his clumsy stalker. But when she realized she was caught, she panicked and ran blindly toward the highway. A speeding car was heading straight for her. Without hesitation, Jae Gyu pushed her out of the way, taking the hit and getting struck by the car himself. An unconscious Jae Gyu was rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, Jae Gyu regained consciousness a short while later and was totally fine. But Bohm was furious and wanted to file a police report against the woman who caused the accident. Jae Gyu stopped her, revealing that the woman was actually Miss Chong and asking her to let it go. Bohm finally opened up about her own painful secret. She explained that she had fled her home because of a terrible incident at her previous school. To protect her mother's reputation, she had sacrificed her entire career in Seoul. She confessed that the friend she had been seeking legal advice for from Yi Jun was actually herself. Hearing this, Jae Gyu decided they couldn't delay any longer. He took Bohm and headed straight to Yi Jun's office. Meanwhile, when Miss Jung went to pay Jae Gyu's hospital bill, she overheard the teachers praising him endlessly. They were talking about how Jae Gyu was always the first person to step up and help everyone in the village. Filled with guilt and realization, she stormed into Yi-jun's office and accused him of unfairly ruining Jae Gyu's reputation. That's when Yi-jun dropped a dark truth that had been hidden all along. He told Miss Jong that Jae Gyu was not at all a good person. According to the rumors from that fateful night, Jae Gyu had killed his own father and run away with his money. Right at that exact moment, Bohm and Jae Gyu appeared at the door, hearing everything. After such a massive revelation, no one in the room had any words left to speak. Everyone froze in absolute shock. Later, Jae Gyu told Bohm that she could ask him about the accusations Yi-jun and the villagers were making against him, but Bohm looked into his eyes and simply said, "I trust you completely." Finally, Jae Gyu revealed the truth about the tragic fire that destroyed his home. He explained that the flames had spread so fast, he only had one choice: either save baby Hang-yeol or save his abusive father. He chose to save the baby, leaving his father behind in the fire. Bohm gently told him it wasn't his fault, but Jae Gyu still carried a heavy burden of guilt. Showing her his old burn scar, he confessed, "This scar reminds me that I killed my father. I have never forgiven myself for it." At school, Hang-yeol's grades suddenly started dropping, which quickly caught Bohm's attention. When she strictly questioned him, Hang-yeol admitted he was intentionally scoring low so that Sejin could finally rank first. The next day, Jae Gyu's sister arrived. She revealed that Bohm was the one who had convinced her to come and talk to him. She comforted Jae Gyu, saying, "If you had tried to save our father, all three of you would have died." She added, "I am the one who should feel guilty, yet I am living proudly with my new family. You did absolutely nothing wrong, so what are you ashamed of?" Hugging him tightly, she said, "This scar is not proof of our father's death. It is the proof of Hang-yeol's life." These powerful words finally lifted the years of heavy burden from Jae Gyu's heart. That evening, Jae Gyu went to Bohm's house to thank her. Bohm lovingly kissed the scar on his arm, and they shared a warm hug. Meanwhile, at school, Sejin ranked first in her class and was overjoyed. Her parents were praising her while making fun of the boy who usually took the top spot. Thinking Hang-yeol might be upset about losing, Sejin took him out to eat, happily bragging about how proud her parents were. Suddenly, a teacher and some students walked by. The teacher scolded them, revealing the truth. Hang-yeol purposely marked only option C on his entire paper. Hearing this, Sejin's happiness instantly turned into deep embarrassment. In Seoul, new trouble was brewing. Yi-jun and Miss Jong found out that a reporter was digging into Bohm's past. Yi-jun's informant reported that the journalist had even reached her school, so he arranged a meeting in Seoul for them. As Yi-jun was getting ready to leave for Seoul, he warned Miss Jong and Bohm to be careful. Jae Gyu overheard this conversation. He immediately sent his men to guard Bohm's house to ensure she was completely safe. After that, Jae Gyu and Yi-jun teamed up and headed to Seoul for their meeting at the press office. Carrying a large flower pot in his hands, Jae Gyu arrived at the press office and started calling out for the reporter. Terrified by his intimidating aura, the reporter hid under a desk. They were planning to publish a fake scandal about Bohm the very next day. Jae Gyu announced that he was Bohm's boyfriend and had come to clear her name, stating that all the accusations were completely false. However, the reporters didn't care about the truth at all. They only wanted spicy gossip and views. Secretly, Jae Gyu recorded their entire conversation while on a phone call with Phillips. Just then, Yi-jun arrived at the scene. He threatened the reporters, warning them that if they published any fake articles about Bohm, he would hit them with a massive defamation lawsuit. Meanwhile, back at home, Bohm was deeply stressed about the next day. Suddenly, she received a call from her mother. Her mother warned her not to look at the internet or read any comments if the article did get published. On their way back from Seoul, the two old friends reflected on their past. Yi-jun asked, "Why did you betray me back then?" Jae Gyu explained that after the fire, Yi-jun was the very first person he had gone to for help. But his heart broke when he overheard Yi-jun, refusing to even acknowledge him as a friend in front of his parents. Left with no choice, he had stolen the money and fled the town. Hearing this, Yi-jun finally cleared up the misunderstanding. He revealed, "If I hadn't lied to my parents at that moment, I would have never been able to get that money to help you." Realizing the truth, the two best friends finally reconciled. Yi-jun dropped Jae Gyu off at Bohm's house, so she wouldn't have to face this difficult night alone. Bohm desperately wanted to know if the article would still be published. Jae Gyu didn't give her false hope. Accepting this, Bohm turned off her phone and decided to distract herself. They went outside for some fresh air, and later Jae Gyu cooked a warm meal to comfort her. As she was trying to sleep, her mother's words echoed in her mind. Experiencing this intense anxiety tonight, Bohm suddenly realized how many sleepless nights her mother must have spent going through the exact same terror. The next morning she got ready, said goodbye to Jae Gyu, and bravely set off for Seoul. Bohm went to her parents. While they were talking, Jae Gyu arrived at the door. It turned out he had gone back to the press office and made a deal. He would delete all his recordings and withdraw the lawsuit if the reporters agreed not to publish the fake article. Everyone felt relieved for a moment. But then Yoon Bomi revealed a big secret. She had already written a post on the school's online page, exposing the truth about the rumors and the trauma she had faced in Seoul. Now, she is finally ready to confront the world. By now, everyone at school knew her side of the story and the real reason she had come to this town. Jae Gyu dropped her off at school and waited outside for her. Bohm was expecting people to gossip about her in the classroom. However, to her surprise, the students fully trusted her and treated her as if nothing had happened. Even in the staff room, the other teachers decided to act normally and did not ask her any uncomfortable questions. Meanwhile, Jae Gyu caught Mr. Hong red-handed on the phone, asking the reporter about the article. It turned out Mr. Hong was the secret informer all along. Since Yijun's father had a lot of influence over him, he was forced to promise that he would never do something like this again. At the same time, tension grew between Hangyul and Sejin. Hangyul did not understand why she was mad because he thought letting her win was a romantic gift. But to Sejin, it felt like pity, not love. Hurt by his actions, she asked him for some space. After talking with his uncle, Hangyul finally understood his mistake. He realized that by letting her win, he had insulted her hard work. Real love means trusting her abilities, not stepping aside just to let her pass. Hangyul also shared he now wanted to go to college in Seoul. He mentioned that Ms. Bohm would also be returning to Seoul soon, since her exchange program was ending. The next day, Hangyul sincerely apologized to Sejin and promised to give her the space she needed to grow on her own. At school, the final exam results came out. This time, Sejin earned first place all on her own. Seeing this, Hangyul couldn't help but feel a little jealous. He jokingly told her that now, he is the one who needed some space. Knowing Bohm was leaving soon, Jae Gyu wanted to spend all his time with her. Before she returned to Seoul, he started teaching her small, practical things so she could manage on her own. He even bought a camera to capture their memories together. They made sure to take photos of every special moment, their dates, their martial arts lessons, and cute pictures with Bohmsick. Soon, their last day together in the city arrived, and they decided to make their final night unforgettable. Oh well, if you know, you know. 1 year later, Bohm was teaching at a new school in Seoul. Although a few people still whispered about her past, she remained strong. Yijun arrived with great news. She had officially won the court case against the abusive parent. He boldly showed the legal ruling to the teachers who had just been gossiping about her, shutting them up instantly. Meanwhile, Jae Gyu met with Hangyul's mother. She offered to pay for Hangyul's college tuition, but Jae Gyu refused the money. Instead, he asked her to proudly stand beside her son as his mother, rather than just supporting him with money from a distance. Even though Bohm and Jae Gyu missed each other deeply, they happily managed their long-distance relationship by talking every single day. But eventually the distance becomes too much for Bohm. Unable to hold back anymore, she finally opens the present he gave her a long time ago. However, instead of being touched, she explodes in anger, realizing she had almost lost her life in a deadly storm just to save this piece of junk. Furious, she travels all the way back to Sinsu. Meanwhile, Jae Gyu is peacefully asleep at his house, next to Yijun, proving that the two best friends have finally put all their past conflicts behind them. As soon as Bohm arrives in town, she frantically searches everywhere for Jae Gyu. Seeing how mad she is, Hangyul quickly alerts his uncle. Knowing exactly why she is looking for him, Jae Gyu understands the assignment and immediately starts preparing for her arrival. After looking all over, Bohm finally finds him standing by the sea, looking incredibly handsome in a dashing suit. At the beach, she angrily confronts him for giving her his old tattoo sleeve as a romantic gift, especially since she had spent all this time hoping it was a ring. Jae Gyu calmly explains that he was only able to take off that sleeve after meeting her. Bohm was the one who gave him the courage to finally accept his scar. Because of her, that sleeve was the most meaningful thing he owned. Hearing his sincere words, Bohm's anger instantly melts away. Then, to her absolute shock, he pulls out a stunning diamond ring and gets down on one knee to propose. Before he can even finish asking the question, she says, yes. She tells him that no matter what he has to say, her answer will always remain the same. Now Jae Gyu no longer hides his scar, and Bohm no longer hides from her painful past. In the end, they beautifully prove that true love can heal our deepest wounds, and real peace only comes when we stop running from who we truly are.